Okay, we're going to do some algebra basics. Okay, before we start off with equations have an equal sign. These don't, right? There's combining like terms and the distributive property. Okay, so real simple stuff. 7x plus 15x is 22x. They're like terms. They both have an x, so you can add them. This one, 8y minus 14. So in your calculator, you'd say 8 minus 14, and you would get negative 6y. Okay, now this one has two like terms, right? It's got a negative 7x and a minus 5x. So in your calculator, you would say negative 7 minus 5, and you get negative 12x, and then you bring down the plus 9. Can you add these? No, you can't add them. Okay, one of them's a number, one of them's an x. Okay, so that's as far as you can go. Now you don't solve this because there's no equal sign, right? So these are the basics. Also, no equal sign here for the distributive property. You remember the distributive property where you multiply the number on the outside by everything on the inside. In this case, you've got two numbers to multiply by. So 7 times 2x is 14x, and then 7 times 3 is plus 21. Can I combine those? No. One of them's an x, one of them's just a number. Okay, same here. Well, same problem. Let's do this one. Negative 5 times y and negative 5 times a minus 3. Negative 5 times y is negative 5y. Okay? Negative 5 times a minus 3 is a plus 15. Okay? The negative and the minus, this acts as a minus for this one. So negative 5 times a negative 3. Two negatives multiplied together make a positive. Okay? Can you add them? No. They're not like terms. Okay, so this one would be negative 2x, or negative 8x, I'm sorry. Golly. Negative 8x, and then negative 2 times negative 2 is plus 4. And of course you can't add them. So let's move on. So we are going to solve one-step equations. Now we actually have an equal sign, right? Okay, so we're going to do inverse operations to solve these one-step equations. Okay, inverse operations. So if you have, I mean, let's just talk about this. We're trying to get x by itself, so we've got to get rid of the minus 10. Okay, here we got to get rid of the minus 3. We want x by itself. We don't worry about this other side. Okay, we worry about the side that has x, and you want x by itself. Okay, so how do you get rid of a minus 10? You add 10. That's the opposite of subtraction, right? Subtraction, you add 10. If you do it to one side, then of course you do it to the other. Okay, those cancel. If you're not sure on this, use your calculator. Negative 2 plus 10 is 8. Okay, so x is equal to 8, right? Here. Okay, this is a plus 2, so to get rid of a plus 2, we would subtract 2, right? Okay, so that's gone. You get x is equal to negative 12 minus 2 is negative 14. If you're at 0 and you're at negative 12 on a number line, then if you subtract 2, don't you go 2 more this way to negative 14? Okay. Now when it's beside it, you've got to divide by the number that's next to it. Like if you had 3x equals 9, then you divide by exactly a 3. Why? Because 3 over 3 is 1. 3 over 3 is 1. 1x equals 3. Okay, so whenever you have x and it's next to it, then you want to divide by the exact same number. Okay, the exact same number. And whenever you do, you get 1. So that's like 1x is equal to negative 8. But do we write 1x? No, it's usually written like this. X equals negative 8. Okay? Now, if there's a 3 on bottom, a lot of people seem to forget this one. You have to multiply the top by 3 because you need something to cancel. So 3 times x. And then if you multiply over here by 3, then you do that. If you multiply by 3 on one side, you have to multiply the other side by 3. So 3 over 3 is 1. So really, canceling is turning this into 1x, right? Which is 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, so really just x is equal to 15. Okay? Down here, you multiply this one by 2 and this one by 2, right? So 2 over 2 cancel or become 1, and x is equal to 8. Divide by negative 5 exactly so that you can get x is equal to negative 3. You subtract by 12 on both sides, and you get x is equal to negative 18. All right, Let's go to the next page. So we are now going to solve. Okay, solve for, let's see, two-step equations. We're going to solve for x, but we take 2 steps. Okay, whenever I look at this problem, I say I got to get x by itself, so I got to get rid of the 6 and the 3. Which one goes first? Okay, the one next to it goes last. They're homies, they're best friends, okay? So x and 3 go together, and then to get rid of the plus 6, you subtract 6, right? So you got to, the 2 steps I'm going to do in this problem is I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, and then my next step is going to be divide by 3. Here, I'm going to add 7 and divide by 4, okay? Here, I'm going to add 5 in my first step, and then my second step, I'm going to multiply the top by 4, okay? So all of them are very simple like that, okay? So got to get rid of the 6. He's all by himself, okay? We're trying to get x by itself, so we got to get rid of the 6 and the 3. So we subtract 6 from both sides, and we've got 3x is equal to 15, and then whenever it's beside it like that, you divide by the same number, okay, that's on top. Why? Because it's 1. 3 over 3 is 1, so x is equal to 5, okay? Now here, got to get rid of the minus 5 first, okay, so I'm going to add 5 to both sides, okay, so that's gone. I've got x over 4 is equal to 2, okay? So how do I get rid of a 4 on bottom? I multiply the top by 4, okay? And then the 4's cancel, and I get x is equal to 8, all right? Anyway, distributive. 1.25 times 8 in a calculator would give you 10x, okay? Then 1.25 times negative 5 would give you a negative 6.25, and that's equal to 13.75, okay? And then you got to get rid of this one first, right? The 10 goes last, so you add 6.25 to both sides. 6.25 here, and forget that. And those cancel. I get 10x is equal to 20, okay? Divide by 10, and x is equal to 2, okay? So that's kind of how you do it. This one, you add 7 to both sides. Cancel, 4x is equal to 24. When it's beside it, you divide by the exact same number, okay? So the 4 is gone, x is equal to 6. Okay, here, multiply by 3 on top. Whoa, out of order. Subtract 4 from both sides, okay? I was looking at the next problem in my head. Okay, so I canceled that, and then this is negative 12, and then you've got x over 3, so how do you get rid of a 3 on bottom? Well, you put a 3 on top, and that's understood to be multiplied, so you multiply the other side by 3. These 3's cancel or become 1. X is equal to negative 36, okay? All right, let's move on. Okay, so this is when you have x on both sides. Okay, before you do a 2-step equation, you have to get rid of one of the x's. Okay, so get rid of the smallest variable. Okay, this is when you have x on both sides. Okay, so the smallest one is 3x, right? So how do you get rid of a positive 3x? Well, you subtract 3x. You don't want to divide by 3 because the 3's would cancel and the x would stay. So we're subtracting 3x. Why? Because if I subtract 3x minus 3x, I'm going to have 0x, right? It's going to be 0x. Guess what that is? Nothing. It's 0. That's why they cancel. Okay, if you do it to one side, then you have to subtract 3x from the other x term, right? So this one minus this is 2x, right? Plus 1 is equal to 5, okay? So now, got to get rid of the 1 and get rid of the 2. Okay, now it's a 2-step equation just like we were doing on the page before. Okay, so we subtract 1 from both sides. That cancels and I get 2x is equal to 4. And then I divide by 2 and I get x is equal to 2. Okay? So here's x on both sides. Smallest one is the minus 3x, especially small since it's a negative number, right? So I'm going to add 3x this time because I want 0x, so it'll cancel, right? And then so I add 3x over here, and I get 10x minus 4 is equal to 4. Oh yeah, this is the one that becomes a fraction. Oh well, whatever. Fractions are people too. Okay? So I got to get rid of the minus 4, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Okay, so I got 10x is equal to 8, and then whatever's beside it, you got to divide it by 10, right? So you divide the other side by 10, and x is equal to, if you reduce that, it's 4/5. Okay? Or you could say 0.8. All right? Okay, one more. Which one's the smallest one? Well, of course, that x is the smallest. We've got x on both sides. Got to get rid of this one, so I'm going to add 2x to both sides, right? Okay, so those cancel, and you get 6 is equal to 5x minus 14. So still the same idea. Doesn't matter if x is on the right side, right? You got to get rid of the minus 14, and then that you're going to add 14 to both sides, then you're going to divide by 5. 2 steps. Okay, so add 14, those cancel. I get 5x is equal to 20. Okay, then I divide by 5. Okay, and I get x is equal to 4. Okay, so that's basically with x on both sides. You get rid of the smallest variable, and then you do a 2-step equation. Okay. All right. Let me see. Here's some wild kind of stuff that you will get used to having to see in geometry. Okay. So remember, in a problem like this, we didn't really talk about this yet. In a problem like this, if you have a bunch of stuff on the same side, don't try to subtract 2 or add 5x to both of these or something. That's what you do to both sides. When you have all this mess on one side, you combine like terms, just like that first page. Remember the first page where we combine like terms? Well, that's what we're going to do on the first side here. Okay? So whenever you have one side that has a bunch of stuff, then you just combine them. Okay? Minus 5x and 2x is how much? 2 minus 5 is minus 3x, okay? 10 plus 2 is 12, okay? So all I did was combine the x's, combine the two numbers, and then I write this down, negative 15, and I work a 2-step equation, right? I get rid of the 12, and then I get rid of the negative 3. So I subtract 12 from both sides, right? That's gone. I get negative 3x is equal to negative 27. Then I divide by negative 3 on both sides, okay? And the negative 3's cancel, and then negative 27 over negative 3. Whenever you divide by 2 negatives, you get a positive, so that's 9. X is equal to 9, okay? Now here's one, you got to clean this up, right? It's all on one side, so you take the 4x and the 6x and make it 10x. You just add them together, and then negative 2 minus 8 is negative 10. If you don't know, use your calculator and do a negative 2 minus 8, okay? That's 14. So you add 10 to both sides, right? 2-step equation now. Okay, so you bring your 10x down, and that's equal to 24. It's not going to come out even. Oh well, it's okay. Divide by 10, cancel that. X is equal to 12 over 5. Okay, I just kind of threw that problem together so it didn't come out even, but that's okay. All right, so here you got to combine these two before you can get going, right? So 3x and 2x is 5x, right? So those two come down here, and then you bring down the plus 5, and that's equal to 2x minus 4. What do you do when x is on both sides? You get rid of the small one. So you subtract 2x from both sides, right? And that's gone, and you get 3x plus 5 is equal to negative 4. Okay? So I got to get rid of the 5, so I subtract 5 from both sides, right? That's gone, and I get 3x is equal to negative 9. Divide by 3. And then x is equal to negative 3. Okay? All right, so here's another one. We can see that these two can be combined, right? 3x is standalone. There's no other x on this side, right? Okay? So you go 3x, and then minus 6 plus 10 is plus 4, right? Okay? So that's equal to 5x minus 4, just bringing it down. Okay? So I combine these. I'm not worried about x on both sides until I clean up one side. You know, if this side you can't clean up anymore, but you can this one. You can put the like terms together, right? So now I've got x on both sides. Now I think about doing something to both sides. I get rid of the smallest x. So that's minus 3x and minus 3x, right? And that's gone, and I've got 4 is equal to 2x minus 4. Add 4 to both sides, right? That's gone. 2x is equal to 8. Divide by 2, and guess what? X is equal to 4. Okay? Algebra. Have a good one.